Struggling to break into medical affairs? Let's discover the secrets to finding entry-level roles so we can kickstart your career with confidence. Spoiler alert, it does involve being like water. If you know, you know. And if you don't know what I mean, click here to watch an episode I do with Molly Gunn. I guarantee it's going to challenge the way you think about applying for your first role.
Now, many of the channel's audience, they struggle with finding entry-level medical affairs roles. What's your advice on how they can find these opportunities?
My advice to candidates, I'll put in my left hand and I'll probably address that first, but also we need to give advice to the industry. So I think the advice to candidates who want to get into medical affairs is look for other roles as well. Don't discount. We know 20 to 25% of new MSLs go through sales, and don't discount that. If you don't think you can do sales, you probably need to reconsider whether you can do that MSL role as well. So look at them. Look at networking. It's a complete networking profession, and so you can't get into these entry-level roles unless you're also networking. Look at your qualifications. I did a Masters of Drug Development, which meant every weekend for 3 or 4 years I was completely working, and I did that and it changed me. So look at what you've got. Make sure you've got a really good mentor. As I say, you've got clinical trial, you've got pharmacovigilance, you've got medical information, you've got various different roles in the industry. Understand what all of them roles are. My advice to industry is let's make this a lot easier. MedWise are launching Stepwise in a few weeks' time, which is an online course, which is a very accessible way of learning about what these roles are. We're going to partner with an AI group to sort of simulate what interviews look like and how to get your CVs up to speed. But as an industry, we need to work a lot harder at breaking down the firewalls and silos, because we need pipeline of talent. I think internships and within industry is important. And I think every single company has got a responsibility to build these internships where you can be supernumerary in terms of FTE for a year and spend a year immersed within a company to learn. And so you are plug and play almost at the end of that year. The reason, obviously, that you can't just walk in often to an MSL role is it takes a year to 18 months to get autonomous. And I've never seen any, regardless of qualifications and amazingness, I've never seen anybody really do it sooner than that. And that you've got to appreciate that businesses don't have 18 months. So they want people that just can plug, play and impact things. But then on the second hand, there's very few companies that are actually offering that. Pfizer have just come up with this fantastic immersion medical affairs program. GSK, have done it. And I know I'd like every single company to think about how to do that. We're going to do it at MedWise. We're working with the University of Sydney as well. But I think we need to get this hand right before we even can think about this hand, because the opportunities are not there.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. The talent pipeline, right? We talk about drug pipeline, and drug companies are very invested in their assets, but actually your humans are your assets too.
They absolutely are.
You need good people in the company here to make things happen. Brilliant. I love that. Would love you to peek into your crystal ball. You alluded to this. There's a lot of change. Change is inevitable. How do you see medical affairs evolving over the next 5 to 10 years? Recently, I went to an AI in sort of pharmaceutical workshop, and they talked about, virtual MSLs. They're the next best thing. Should MSLs be afraid? So 2 questions there.
Like a hologram MSL maybe. Look, virtual MSLs have been trialed and generally failed, largely because what people mean when they say virtual MSL is a Zoom call with an MSL. That's not a virtual MSL.
If this guide is helping you, please leave us a comment below. I love reading your feedback. It means the world to me. I also like to share it with existing and future guests. Reading your feedback really encourages our existing thought leaders, but also helps us attract new thought leaders to come onto the channel.
I think that medical affairs is absolutely going to change. It's going to be fundamentally underpinned by AI and machine learning. I think companies need to just accept that and get on the bus with it. How's that going to impact medical liaisons and advisors and medical directors in such a positive way? A lot of what we do as MSLs, medical advisors, medical directors, is complete churn, which can be automated. And I think that's one thing we're going to find in these medical roles, is that all that churn that prevents you actually thinking about spending all of your days thinking about how to impact patient outcomes is going to be removed. AI is going to, I mean, we use AI, I don't use Google. I think Google is like using a fax machine. So we, MedWise, we're all versed and we're all trained, and we're all using AI in the first instance before we try anything else. So I think every medical affairs person will need to be very competent in AI. I think that you'll see that on job descriptions, and I don't think you'll get in unless you can prove that you're using it. Building strategic plans. I mean, if I start talking about where to use AI, the next 45 minutes will just be me listing.
Yeah.
I think also, you know, we are going to move away from that very, very academic thought process that you need that PhD to be this kind of hybrid of co-medical, I call it, which is like a commercial medical hybrid with the emphasis on co, because it's a corporation where you're not there in promotional sales capacity, but you've got to also appreciate the business side, understand the business. And I think that every medical affairs person will be very versed in financial discussions and understanding the imperatives of companies. But I think the biggest change is going to be that I think the medical affairs are going to be engaging with patients directly, talking to patients, learning from patients, listening to patients. I think they're going to be one of the major key stakeholders. Currently, well, no, not currently. I think most companies have embraced this ecosystem approach to medical affairs. Some don't, and some companies, the MSLs, just see doctors. What is that all about? Like, if you're really trying to impact the quality, QUM is quality use of medicine, it's not quantity use of medicine. Companies need to remember that medical affairs teams are helping achieve quality use of medicine. If you think about who you need to engage with to achieve quality use of medicine, go back to the National Medicines Policy, and it'll show you all the stakeholders: patients, healthcare professionals, researchers, government. They're going to be the stakeholders medical affairs are going to be engaging with, at both field medical to medical directors, I think. So I think they're probably the main three things. And then, fourth, drugs are changing, aren't they? I mean, look at the advanced therapeutics. It's like we sat there today almost like when Steve Jobs put the first iPod up. We're at that inflection in medicine. We're seeing revolutionary, not evolution of changes within medicine. We're seeing revolution in medicine, and we need to keep up with that advanced therapeutics and diagnostics. And so you need to be super adaptable at learning the new concepts that are coming through. Medical's pretty good at that, but I think you've got to get much better, because we're going to speed into this new world where we're marrying medicine with diagnostics, with devices, and AI, machine learning. And I think, one of the most important groups that we need to think about is, how do we embrace your Microsofts, your Amazons, your Googles, your all of this. Yeah, so it's going to change.
Yeah, it sounds exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's cool.
The piece around coming closer to the patient, if I think about what is good problem solving, design thinking, you start with your end. Who is the real end user?
Yeah.
It's actually the patient, and it is. Yeah, that's a great call out.
If you think about the way we design clinical trials currently, and I think, again, clinical trials are going to be co-designed by patients. We should start thinking about what we need to do. We're like, okay, we'll do a lumbar puncture every week. No, you're not. No, you're not. We need patients to embrace clinical trials. Clinical trials are not the last option. They're the best option often. And if we can start educating patients within clinical trials, get them to design it, making the experience of being on a clinical trial the best experience. Yeah. I personally think that if you think about the clinical trial, particularly when you get to phase 3, you're comparing probably what's the next new thing with the now what's the best thing, underpinning it with a healthcare team that are surveilling that patient in a way that you'd never see in a non-clinical trial setting. Patients, I think, the outcomes are going to be much better. And I think medical affairs, again, only 5% of patients go on to clinical trials in Australia. I think medical affairs can be really the broker between that number staying where it is and going up, and patients need to co-design. Yeah. And then certainly when we're doing strategic launches, we need to be not talking to talking to patient advocacy groups, but not relying on them. Certainly not relying on clinicians to tell us what patients are going through, because patients N=1 experience are all different. And I think bringing that patient to the table is going to mean that when we get these medicines to market post-PBS, which is also a separate discussion, the HTA, if you've brought the patients in, the experience, the compliance, the efficacy of that drug is going to be so much better. That was why I got annoyed and angry back in the 90s at the Christie Hospital when I started, and then going into the industry. I'm like, this science is fantastic. The mechanisms of actions that we're thinking of, we've moved from serendipity, where we're just trialing and error, to find a drug that works, to designing medicine around disease because we're understanding fundamentally what's wrong with the disease. That's great. But then if you put that drug into a patient and that patient and their carers are not informed and understand, then surely the efficacy is going to be diminished. And so we over-rely on the science and we under-rely on the patient's engagement. I think if you put them two together, that's where the magic is going to happen. And I believe medical affairs is going to be the fundamental catalyst in making that happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's so fascinating to hear your passion, the experience and wisdom in your answers.
Oh, thank you, David.
Yeah, learning a lot. This is blowing my mind.
Don't miss our upcoming video on opportunities to start your own business, consulting for Big Pharma. This could be the spark that you need. Click now, your future self will thank you.